From warriors that only exist to make their government proud to creating medal-winning athletic machines, these are the strictest rules Chinese athletes have to follow. Training to be an athlete in China isn't as simple as joining a gym and getting a trainer. There's a lot more to it than that, and it all begins with a selection process by the state government at a very young age. They hold a belief that a child's physical stature is the ultimate factor in becoming a prized athlete, and they're placed into specific sports based on specific attributes like height, arm length, flexibility, reflexes, strength, vision, and even steady nerves. It's a robotic process because that's what the state wants. Machine-like warriors who only exist to make their government proud. Children from ages 8 to 13 are assessed by their government district representatives, and eligible candidates for sports schools are picked. If they excel in sports schools, they'll move on to the bigger government training academies as teenagers. Yes, athletes are trained by the government, and that's where the standard physical and psychological guidelines come from. Children with exceptional flexibility and balance are sent to gymnastics and diving camps. Tall kids are sent to volleyball and basketball camps. If they have quick reflexes, ping pong will be their chosen sport. And those with long arms are pushed into swimming or javelin, while those with short arms are believed to be properly built for weightlifting. The criteria to be chosen for archery almost sounds like something out of a science fiction story, with potential archers having their nerves tested and having their palms graded by stacking .22 caliber bullets in their hand, with ideal candidates being able to stack 8 or more, and only those that can stack at least 6 are considered. The final desired attributes are strong shoulders, superior vision, and a cool demeanor. Remember, these are children, so to be sure they're making the right selections, doctors also take X-rays and do bone density tests to predict their future growth. I remember just scribbling my name on a sign-up sheet taped to the gym wall, and there was no medical equipment involved. There are more than 3,000 government-run sports schools, 20 major programs, and 200 smaller programs that have produced virtually all of China's Olympic athletes, with 150 elite sports camps producing 96% of their national champions. There are another 3,000 sports schools that exist to identify and nurture talent among 300,000 athletes, acting as nothing more than scientific laboratories. And the National Training Center in Beijing adds to the high-level government mystique, with guards posted outside the several training facilities, checking the identification of everyone who enters, just like the military base in Guangzhou, where Olympic swimmers train, and the restricted areas of Tibet, where long-distance runners train at high altitudes. These programs and security protocols cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Sports academies, talent scouts, psychologists, foreign coaches, and the latest technology and science are all used to focus on winning the sports that offer the most events, with the most medals to win because that's all that matters. But sports are played by human beings, not machines. So what is expected of athletes in their day-to-day life? Well, the answers vary between extremes. For example, there is a very strong academic program at the Jiabei District Children's Sports School in Shanghai, where 4 Olympians were produced for the 2008 Beijing Olympics in table tennis, swimming, and volleyball. And athletes are only required to train for 90 minutes per day. That seems pretty reasonable, but that's certainly not the standard expectation, as many schools stress sports only and are seen as nothing more than assembly lines for producing athletes, requiring 6 or more hours of training every day, leaving many athletes unable to read past a 5th grade level. A 15-year-old runner at Weifeng City Sports School told Time magazine that classes weren't important. All that mattered was running, and she rarely went to class or even opened a book, saying, "I run and I sleep. That's my day." If that isn't crazy enough, many school buildings, including the gyms, are moldy and smell of sweat and urine, and break rooms are shared by 8 students who sleep on iron bunk beds during their afternoon break, who collapse from exhaustion. For anyone who has trouble staying motivated, there's a propaganda director to keep them focused, and bulletin boards that are covered with slogans that say things like, "Learn from our comrades and create a new and glorious Olympics." None of that sounds very glorious to me. But some facilities are more than respectable, like the Qingdao Sports School in Shandong, which is known for being enlightened and modern, with nice dorm rooms, coaches that promote healthy rest, and teachers that help students get into university. The idea of creating more well-rounded human beings seems much more glorious to me. But that's typically not an option, and expectations are laid out by coaches and full-time recruiters who travel the country, looking to find the next young athlete to mold and cash. Poor parents rarely turn down an opportunity to enroll their children in a sports program, though that is slowly changing, as one 12-year-old athlete pointed out to the Washington Post, saying, "My dad thinks as a primary school student, my studies are still most important. I still prefer book studies. I feel athletic training is just for health." That outlook is rare because of local government sports bureaus' ability to provide homes to poor parents who want nothing more than a stable home and are willing to surrender their children in order to get it, oftentimes rarely speaking to their children after they've arrived at a sports school. Former NBA All-Star Yao Ming was sent to a full-time sports academy when he was 12, and he was given special attention after his knuckle measurements suggested he would grow to an amazing 7 foot 5 inches tall, making him a star recruit. He later admitted that he didn't even like playing basketball until he was almost 20 years old, and that his parents would have preferred that he went to a proper college and only played basketball as a hobby. It's easy to imagine why he didn't enjoy playing basketball in his teen years. He was watched nearly 24 hours a day, was served his meals in a special kitchen reserved for champions, and was forced to practice 4 times a day, beginning at 6:30 a.m. and ending at 8:30 p.m. Yao's story isn't unique. Olympic gold medal diver Fu Mingxia was 9 years old when she was taken from her family and cried from homesickness for months after arriving at the Beijing sports school. She saw her parents only once a year and says she didn't have much time for anything other than training. Imagine that as a 9-year-old, and it's not like there's any choice in the matter. Basketball player Yijian Lian lived in a 1-bathroom dorm with as many as 5 other boys, and training sessions were filled with intense mandatory running drills. He remembers not being able to finish a 400-meter run and getting so upset that he wanted to quit because he knew that anyone who didn't perform as expected would be told to leave. The Washington Post reported that members of the women's national soccer team woke up at 7:30 a.m., ate 2 slices of bread with butter and an egg, practiced from 10 a.m. until noon, had a nap and a quick lunch, then meetings and practice from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m., before finally being given access to cell phones or computers for a brief period in the evening. Do these types of hardcore regimens work? Well, yes and no. The focus on turning athletes into medal-winning machines leads to even greater social problems, like the creation of slave markets where athletes are bought and sold, with asking prices based on their physical strength and competitive achievements. Athletes who don't make the cut are left with nowhere else to turn, having no marketable skills and maybe a 2nd or 3rd grade education, and may end up living on the street. But even the successful ones are left out in the cold after retirement, suffering from the same lack of education. On the other hand, since the primary goal of the programs is to create subservient medal-collecting athletic machines, you could say they're very successful, as China wins more medals than Australia, Japan, and Canada, competing in fewer competitions. But I don't see that as a win. So, from creating medal-winning athletic machines to warriors that only exist to make their government proud, those were the strictest rules Chinese athletes have to follow.